This sprawling, multi-story brick fortress is Waverly Hills Sanitarium, a structure widely considered to be one of the most active paranormal hotspots in the world. It currently attracts a mix of visitors, believers who enter the halls bracing for a brush with death, and skeptics who view the building's imposing atmosphere with clinical detachment. The site's reputation is rooted in the early 1900s, when Kentucky's warm, wet climate provided the ideal conditions for a highly contagious bacterial outbreak. This chart shows the global impact of tuberculosis, the White Plague. With a death toll of roughly 2 billion people, it ranks as one of the deadliest epidemics in human history. This schematic shows how the state responded, constructing a massive 5-story quarantine zone on a quiet hill to separate the infected. The sanitarium functioned as a self-sustaining city, housing up to 500 patients. Once admitted, everyone was cut off from the outside world. Daily life for these patients was defined by close quarters. Long rows of beds were packed into communal areas, like the sun parlor, where the sick lived out their quarantine in full view of one another. To understand why these hallways are now synonymous with ghost stories, we have to look at how the building was specifically engineered to manage and conceal mass death. The architectural tour begins at the base of the hill, inside a 500-foot concrete tunnel known as the body chute. Hospital administrators used this tunnel to secretly transport thousands of deceased patients down the hill, keeping the reality of the death toll hidden from the survivors. Today, modern investigators sit at the bottom of this chute in total darkness, documenting sudden drops in temperature and unexplained noises echoing from the top of the tunnel. Ascending to the first floor brings us to the morgue wing. This section served as the center for treating patients with the most advanced infections. For cases where the infection reached the brain, doctors employed experimental treatments like electroshock therapy, using invasive apparatus to deliver currents directly to the head. The physical tools of that era remain. Today, heavy autopsy tables stay bolted to the floor, exactly where they were used decades ago. The high volume of documented deaths and experimental procedures in this wing correlates with the frequent reports of paranormal activity that investigators now record here. On the middle floors, the focus of the facility shifted toward managing the psychological toll of long-term isolation. Fresh air treatments were standard. Patients were bundled in blankets and wheeled onto outdoor porches, exposed to the wind and cold for hours. These floors are defined by specific lore, including reports of a homeless man and his dog, who allegedly fell down the elevator shaft, and the legend of a child ghost named Timmy. Ghost hunters often leave balls in these hallways, hoping to capture footage of them moving on their own as a sign of Timmy's presence. The 5th floor housed the most isolated ward in the building, reserved for patients whose advanced infections were believed to have caused total mental collapse. This floor contains room 502, the site of 2 reported suicides, a nurse who allegedly fell from the roof, and another found hanging just outside the room in 1928. Modern investigators attempt to sleep on the exact spot of the 1928 suicide, often reporting a heavy sense of anxiety and the sound of phantom whispers. These different floors track the total experience of the sanitarium. The lower levels manage the physical remains of the plague, while the upper floors absorb the psychological fallout of those trapped within them. The 1961 introduction of a tuberculosis vaccine effectively ended the facility's role as a quarantine center. As the building became obsolete, it was closed and left to decay, leaving the structure and its history to sit undisturbed on the hill for decades. Today, the debate continues over the shadow people and phantom voices recorded in these empty rooms. For any visitor, the experience is shaped by the knowledge that they are walking through a site where tens of thousands lost their lives to a single disease. Regardless of whether the paranormal sightings are real, the building stands as a physical archive of the epidemic. It remains a massive brick-and-mortar record of the White Plague and the extreme lengths humanity took to survive it.